Today we'll sketch a countryside theme from imagination using a black pen and color markers. Hi and welcome, David here from sketchlikeanarchitect.com. We're going to draw a multi-point perspective view today, and it'll be in a real time so you can draw along with me. It should take around 10 minutes or so. It's a quick sketch, and I'll try to explain all the steps on the way as well as some principles behind the process. To make it easier for you to follow along, I've prepared 3 process sheets which you can download through the link in the description. So get your pen and paper ready and let's do this! I'm starting off with my picture plane, which is a frame I want everything to kind of fit in. Since it's gonna be a countryside scenery, I know I want to frame the view, so I use a tree in the foreground. Now I remembered it'd be nice to have the position of the horizon line locked in. You can see that I'm placing it roughly in the lower third of my picture plane, so I'll get a nice and relatable eye-level view. If you have the chance, it's always a good idea to avoid a straight road or street in your images. Here I'm introducing a curved road, which nicely leads the eye across the sketch. Next, I'm placing a small barn along that road. Notice the position of the barn in regards to the horizon line. The walls are divided roughly in halves by the horizon line, which already sets the scale. So you want to be thinking about that when placing different objects in your scene. You can always ask yourself, how does it relate to the viewer's position? I'm also using selective texturing, suggesting a stony road. I'm extending the texturing a little bit outwards from the picture plane and its framing to support the illusion of depth. I'm sketching another barn positioned closer to the viewer, cut off by the picture plane. Again, I'm careful about its scale. And since I created a separate vanishing point, that makes this a multi-point perspective view. That is something that happens where there are more than 2 main vanishing points on the horizon line, which is, as you realize, a pretty common scenario. That happens every time when objects in your perspective view don't lie in just one orthogonal grid, but they are maybe slightly rotated. I'm adding more details to the tree, which makes sense since it's in the foreground, and higher level of details as well as higher contrast will again help supporting the illusion of depth. I'm keeping in mind here the rules of atmospheric perspective, which can be also applied to line drawings in a way that the thicker strokes are used in the foreground, and as we draw elements further from the viewer towards the background, we use thinner lines. If you're an architect, use the same principle, for example, in a section drawing, to make it more understandable and to distinguish between what elements are being cut and what is displayed in elevation. Excuse my ugly son, it's just a reminder to keep in mind where I chose my light direction. I'm adding a couple of annotations, as well as a human figure for anchoring the scale. If you're interested, you can check the links in the description for my blogs and tutorials on why to draw human figures, as well as how to populate your sketches. I'm moving on with adding vertical hatching to shaded surfaces of the barns. I'm also adding some less detailed vegetation volumes to the middle ground and background. I'm extending the foreground a little bit more with a couple strokes suggesting grass and stones to support the countryside feel. And I'm also adding shadows, and I mean in this case cast shadows. Again, there's a bit more precise and step-by-step explanation of constructing shadows in perspective in my blog. Check the links in the description. Now let's add some color with color markers. In this video I'm using Everblend color markers from Arteza. I'm mentioning that because that's seriously the most frequent question I get asked about what kind of pens or markers I use. Finally, I'm using this brush pen to add more darkness to the shadows and to increase the overall contrast of the sketch. I probably should have left it like this, but eventually I decided to use even a darker brush pen for the cast shadow in the foreground, and to be honest, I'm not 100% satisfied with the result of it. If you were sketching along, I'd love to see your creations. Also, again, you can get the process sheets through the link in the description. You can color it yourself in your own style, and if you do, please make sure to share it with me on Instagram at David_Drazel, also with the hashtag #SketchLikeAnArchitect. Let me know in the comments below whether it was better without the cast shadow in the foreground or with it. And thanks for watching.